Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you having a great weekend and God bless you. God bless America. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. And it looks like Biden's polling has continued to sink. He is now at the lowest point in his time in the White House, even sinking lower than President Trump's lowest levels, which was 38%, which President Trump never fell below. And somehow Biden has managed to do that. Maybe he's because he wasn't as popular as the media tried to make him out to be. That was 81 million strong, right, as they went to the polls to put in this bumbling idiot into the White House. So now it's really showing of what's that term? Go? No more refunds. That's right, because the country is in a worse spot than it has ever been under the current leadership of this regime. It says the Biden's approval rating now lower than Trump's lowest point ever. We just come down here. Joe Biden's approval rating is now lowered and Trump was at his lowest. It's important to put this into context though. The media hammered Trump every single day of his presidency and Democrats were right there with them. Biden has a completely compliant media that will bend over backwards to help him. That makes a huge difference. The Washington Examiner reports this: Joe's low. Biden's a criminal falls below Trump's worst point for the first time. President Joe Biden's voter approval rating has fallen below low. Former President Donald Trump's worst ever level, continuing a year-long trend for the bumbling chief executive who can't seem to get a break. Rasmussen Reports daily tracking poll put Biden approval rating at 37%. Today, Trump's approval rating never fell below 38 in 4 years of wrath, abuse and polling. Maybe worse, just 65% Democrats approve of Biden, another record low. It had been hovering in the low 70s. The White House has tried to fix his steady polling decline with more travel and speeches by Biden and staff shakeups, but nothing has worked, and now some Democrats are distancing themselves from Biden as they seek to keep their jobs in the election. The nation's dissatisfaction with Biden appears to be affecting everything in his world, from this stalled economy and surging inflation to the 2022 midterm congressional elections. Here's Miranda Devine says lowest ever approval rating for Joe Biden, 37. Daily President track coming later this morning, driven by Democrat voter abandonment, a 65. Approval among Democrats compared to the recent usual low 70% range, and just continues to get worse. And this just goes on. Talks about it finally happened. Biden's approval rating falls below Trump's worst point, impacts everything to other things from recipes and polls. Generic ballot expands to 8 points for the GOP, negative or 3 points in a week. And consumer confidence at the lowest level record. Biden is a disaster as a president, it's obvious to everyone. And there's 81 million that has been awful quiet, haven't they? I tried to remind them every time I'm on some type of social media, reminding them of this individual they decided to go to vote for, and how much of a bumbling disaster this man has been for the country. As far as everything that we've seen, as far as inflation, surging prices in every sector that you see, an open border, we are less safe currently, and crime exploding all across the nation. This is a direct result of the Democrats being in control in so many institutions. And then, folks, is what you call a massive game changing when the Wisconsin Supreme Court just officially ruled that public absentee drop boxes are illegal, another huge win for election integrity, making elections more secure, which of course is making Democrats real angry. I mean, just think about that. That's kind of the focus of this video. Democrats get angry when legal measures are passed to make voting more fair, more balanced and more secure. If that doesn't tell you all you need to know about Democrat intentions, and I don't know what to tell you. But we have been covering every step of the way across every single state from Florida, Georgia, Arizona, all the way to Wisconsin and others, and we're seeing nothing but election integrity win after win, hopefully restoring some faith in the system. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to cover. So let's roll the tape. Alright, friends. We got this piece right over here from the Conservative Brief. Wisconsin Supreme Court: public absentee drop boxes are illegal. The Wisconsin Supreme Court has dealt a blow to the Democrats and drop box voting in a 4-3 decision on Friday. The Wisconsin Supreme Court banned the use of most ballot drop boxes, which were prevalent in the 2020 elections. The Washington Post reported it's a ruling feared by voting rights proponents who said ahead of time such a decision would make it harder for voters, particularly those with disabilities, to return their absentee ballots. Many Republicans hoped for a ruling that they said would help prevent someone from casting a ballot in the name of someone else. A 4-3 ruling came a month before the state's August 9 primaries, when voters will narrow the fields for governor and U.S. senator. Both contests in the battleground state are being closely watched nationally. For years, ballot drop boxes were used without controversy across Wisconsin. Election clerks greatly expanded their use in 2020. During the pandemic, as absentee voting hit unprecedented levels, by the time more than 500 ballot drop boxes were in place across Wisconsin. Some Republicans balked at their use, pointing to a state law that says absentee ballot must be mailed by the elector or delivered in person to municipal clerk issuing the ballot or ballots. The key phrase is in person, and it must be assigned its natural meaning. Justice Rebecca Bradley said in the majority opinion of the court, WEC staff may have been trying to make voting as easy as possible during the pandemic. But whatever their motivations, WEC must follow Wisconsin statutes. Good intentions never override the law, she said. And so, of course, the Twittersphere is losing their minds, doing what they always do, taking a vulnerable group, using it to make their point. But at the end of the day, I don't get the outrage. Nearly every single civilized Western democracy has the same laws: show up to vote, show your ID, confirm your identity, and cast your ballot in person. It's the only way to ensure a non-corrupt democracy. It's the only way. What the Democrats are pushing for is just out of this world stupid. They want hundreds of boxes scattered throughout states or scattered throughout the country. They want millions of ballots just floating around everywhere, and they want to get rid of voter ID requirements. What kind of stance is that? It's just bad policy in multiple ways. Not only is it a bad idea to make the election process less safe, but it's horribly destructive and divisive. We create doubt in the American electoral system. When you create a system that people don't trust, you cause chaos, because whatever side doesn't win, they're not going to accept the results. But of course, some lefties will tell you that vote by mail. Well, that doesn't help Democrats. That's just making it an even playing field. I'll probably link to this New York Times article. Does vote by mail favor Democrats? No, it's a false argument by Trump, even though a huge majority of absentee ballots coming in usually favor the Democrat. But it's funny because this fact-check article is from the New York Times, but there also happens to be this article on the New York Times. Vote by mail in Wisconsin help the liberal candidate upend old theories? But no, of course not. That's just a conspiracy theory. The Democrats only care about this stuff because it's going to help them achieve electoral success. No, it's actually about black people. It's actually about the minorities, or in the case of ballot boxes, it's actually about people with disabilities. Give me a break. Like usual, the common denominator when it comes to Democrats and anything they complain about. It's all about power and nothing else. Elections must be safe and secure, and undeniable. Paper ballots delivered by the person with signatures that match and photo identification confirm each and every single person. That shouldn't be controversial. And the idea that safe and secure election policy is actually just voter suppression. Well, listen, even if it is, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you as an individual are not motivated enough to get off of your behind, make sure you're registered, drive, wait in line, and cast your ballot and participate in the mirror. In democracy, and participate in the democratic election process. And frankly, you don't deserve to vote. It's basically that simple. Voting is not a right, voting is a privilege. And if you don't care enough to put in the basic effort to participate in the system, then you shouldn't vote, and you probably aren't even informed enough to vote. Again, voting is something that's sacred, and it's something that should be taken seriously. People should inform themselves and research and put a good amount of effort. It's like a project. The moment elections come around, casting your ballot isn't an easy thing. Not only should citizens be expected to apply the most baseline level of effort of actually showing up to the polls and voting, voters should also be expected to actually delve into people's platform proposals, into their policies, into their stances, into their past, their histories, and who they are as human beings, which takes a good amount of time and research. That's what makes a strong democracy. That's what leads to good leaders and good government. Of course, that's not what Democrats want. Democrats want to make it as easy as possible for anybody to vote. And I mean, literally anybody, even non-citizens, because they know it helps them. Democrats and liberal candidates in general benefit from ignorant voters, from people who hear Biden say something like, "We're gonna give you free money and free this and free that, just vote for me." Most people who take that stuff face value and don't actually research and then vote for the guy, not to mention they have complete control over the media and Hollywood, which again, gives them a huge advantage with uninformed voters. And so that's the racket. They want anyone to be able to vote because uninformed voters are easy to control. And also, I wasn't kidding when I said Democrats are fighting for non-citizens to vote. Democrats in New York literally tried to pass a law allowing non-citizens to vote. New York City's non-citizen voting laws struck down a state Supreme Court judge from Staten Island said the measure, which would have allowed more than 800,000 non-citizens to vote, violated the state's constitution. And now we have the Brandon administration suing Arizona over proof of citizenship voter law. The Brandon regime is literally suing Arizona for requiring voters to prove their citizenship before they vote. That is what the Democrats are doing. And that really is the dynamic here. I mean, think about it. The Wisconsin State Supreme Court finally enforces their state law, making ballot boxes illegal, making elections more secure, and Democrats lose their mind simultaneously. They're fighting for non-citizens to be able to vote in New York and fighting proof of citizenship voter law in Arizona. I mean, talking about being on the wrong side of an argument or even the wrong side of history. Democrats taking these voting law stances, siding with corrupt public school teachers teaching inappropriate subject matter to young children, supporting adult events involving children, as well pushing for abortion in the second and third trimester, and then deluding themselves into thinking that they're on the right side of history. They're on the wrong side of nearly every single major issue. I mean, objectively, but it's yet again another win for election integrity, securing democracy, and the Wisconsin State Supreme Court did the right thing by enforcing the law. It's that simple. It doesn't go any deeper than that. Ladies and gentlemen, give me your thoughts below. And hit subscribe right now. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching the video.